Hello and good morning. This is Boles TV. BOLES dot TV. BOLES period TV. I'm David Boles. And why am I saying all of this that way? Well, we have captions now. 2-3 days we've had these live captions that you can read. You can turn them on, you can turn them off if you don't like them. It's your choice. I'm here to say hello. And it's really interesting, this whole schematic of how people are included or excluded from live streams and how expensive it is to be accommodating to the disabled. And we know that from previous discussions that people do not want to spend money or hire lawyers to become accessible unless the law forces them to do it. And the law is not forcing us to do it. We do it because we want to do it. And now we have a way to do it. And what's interesting about these captions is, and well, happy New Year's Eve, by the way. I hope you have a safe, joyous, wonderful time. We'll talk about that in a minute. And Boles TV is live every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, here with me from 9 in the morning until whenever we stop. And then Janna pops in on Fridays, like she is today, to say, come here today to say hello. 10:15, with a little interesting American Sign Language tutorial that is going to be very interesting. That's all I'm going to say so far. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, Janna Marie is here on Boles.tv with her own show. It is now called Hardcore ASL with Janna Sweenie. And you can ask her about disability and deafness and getting jobs for disabled people of any sort, because that's what she does. And she also teaches American Sign Language at major universities. And her third full-time job is putting up with me. 33 years of it. What's my wisdom for being married for 33 years? My wisdom is this. A marriage can only have one saint. And I am not it. If you have two terrible people in a marriage, not going to work. Two wonderful people, not going to work. One saint, one live streamer, 33 years of success. So these captions are really fun. They cost nothing so far, unless you want to support Eric Guzman, who created the extension for our Twitch streaming. We talked about that yesterday. You can email me, David, at Boles.tv if you need more information on how to support Eric, or if you just want to chat about how all of this works. So in my mind, I'm loving that we have live captions for the live show. However, when this show is on Twitch, VOD, video on demand, everything stops and changes because the captions do not carry over. Theoretically, they could, I guess, in some ways if we use different software, but we're not able to do that right now. So your mind, and then when we upload some of our content to YouTube for release later on, YouTube and Facebook, when you upload a video, we'll close caption it for you automatically. But if you want live captions on YouTube, you have to pay for it. YouTube does not provide live captioning of their content. They will on the video on demand or on things you upload. And it looks like I checked this out, it looks like there's one company that seems to be the favorite of YouTubers, YouTube itself, Stream, Streamtext, streamtext.net, and they will close caption your live stream in real time. I don't believe it's using people, like they do in court. That's real live captioning. I believe this uses AI. I don't know. I just looked at this very quickly. But you have to pay. Right here. Features and pricing. So, because I am who I am what I am, I just did a quick little back of the envelope testing. And for us, if we were live streaming on YouTube, a couple of hours a day, 5 days a week for a month, you pay monthly, and we would be charged 9 cents a minute for captioning. Just to caption this live stream on streamtext.net, as I understand it, would cost us at a minimum $250. And it would be free for people who are watching. So that's really interesting. And then it's a little more sophisticated. You can get the text file and save it and time code it and sync it up to, I guess, your uploaded video later. So captioning is expensive and a big deal. And if you want to do it on StreamText, it's going to cost you $250 a month if you're streaming live to YouTube. But if you're here with us, as you are right now on Twitch, with Eric Guzman, the Gooseman, and his extension, you're not paying for anything. We're not paying for anything. We have live captions. But they don't get saved to video on demand. So it's all a trade-off. As Janna says, it's better than nothing, but we always try to add more. And that is our goal, and we know where we're going, and we know what's happening. At least I think we do. Who knows? We live in a confusing, complicated world. Now, have you heard about these NFTs? Non-fungible tokens. We did a live stream about them and how complicated it is. And one thing that I find very confusing about NFTs is you have to, it seems, go to different sites and use different wallets in order to pay for these NFTs. It doesn't seem like there's a single clearinghouse or a place where you can just get an NFT and put it in your collection and have it and look at it and share it and savor it. It looks like you have to have multiple avenues of access and egress for your NFTs. And I think that's a problem because on-ramping, as they call it, can be very complicated. So if I want to buy a piece of art, I have to have this wallet on this blockchain, and I get the NFT here. And if I want to buy an avatar on Reddit, I have to go over here with a different wallet and a different payment system and buy Bitcoin or whatever they're charging us over there, and then bring in my avatar here and have it here. It's confusing, and I don't think a really great way of doing business. Well, what about the dark side of NFT? There's a dark side to everything. There's the complex side, there's the wonderful side. The wonderful side is that artists can finally be paid for the work that they're doing. The dark side is that people steal your stuff and make money off of it. How so? I'm going to show you. Here's an artist who posts his original interesting art on DeviantArt, which is a website where people can show off their art and people can go and purchase the art. It's not an NFT site, as I understand it. And this was just posted, and this is what this artist, who's very successful on DeviantArt, had to say. Excuse me, it's 9 o'clock. You know what that means? I'm being hotboxed here on the East Coast by my neighbor. And I think this is the 6th day of having no sun. We had briefly 30 minutes of sun yesterday afternoon, but now the fog is back and the heavy-heartedness is in full force. So this artist said on Twitter, sadly, I'm going to have to completely shut down my entire DeviantArt gallery because people keep stealing my art and then making an NFT with it, a non-fungible token, pretending that it's their art and they have the right to sell the art when it's not. I cannot and should not have to report each one of these thefts and make a case, which is consistently ignored. It's sad and frustrating. So this is what he's talking about. This is a message that this poor guy got from DeviantArt. DeviantArt Protect has detected a similar NFT. Liam Sharp is the name of the artist. Our image detection software has found an NFT similar to your Deviation Minotaur. On the left is the original by the original author, and on the right is an NFT that someone else is selling as if they owned it. So I guess DeviantArt does allow you to sell NFTs. And the warning goes on to say, excuse me, this NFT is located on a public blockchain outside of DeviantArt and may be listed for sale on one or more NFT marketplaces. If your art has been used without your permission, and in this case it clearly has been, we suggest contacting those marketplaces and have that stolen art taken down. So this is what's so interesting about this, is there are bad people in the world. They're going to good people, good artists, stealing their images, reselling them as NFTs, and the burden of rectifying this problem is with the original artist. You have to go file a complaint and say, hey, that was stolen. I have the original here, which I think is going to be very hard to prove. And I need you to take down that imitator. And this artist says he has tried to do that and doesn't get a response from the company selling the false art, the stolen art. So instead of having to deal with that all day, writing up takedown notices of people who have stolen your work, he's just unpublishing his artwork. And I hope he's going to find a different way to distribute it and get paid. I love DeviantArt, the artist says, and I've been there for 14 years. I don't blame them, but I see no option at this point. And that's exactly right. It's not DeviantArt's problem. It's not his problem. It's these other people coming in and stealing. This is what frustrates me. Here's a Marvel character drawn by me, and somehow I have to prove it? Plus, I can't even open the link. So this is, he goes and he complains and writes a note saying, take down that art that's been stolen from me. And this is what the request from the site says. From OpenSea, which we've talked about here. If you're requesting that the collection be taken down because it violates your copyright or other intellectual property rights, please send the information outlined and formatted according to our terms of service so we can take appropriate action. You may refer to our guide. So they make it really, really hard to fight the counterfeiters. They don't care because they're making money off every sale. I just checked. They've finally done something about this. I think this thread might have helped. I was really unhappy about the theft of my work more than anything. Thanks to those who stayed civil, I never intended to stir up animosity, and I try to encourage proper discourse. As any who follow me know, lots to digest here. Meanwhile, be well, happy, kind, happy holidays. And here's the link to the stolen piece. And I'm not opening because I don't want people to see the stolen stuff. So that's the dark side of NFTs. And then you have the really interesting, darker side of NFTs where fans who usually want to buy NFTs are saying to some people, we don't want your NFTs. Just keep selling us regular stuff. What? Why? Well, in the age of COVID, bands and artists have stopped touring, and they need the income, so they're starting to sell these NFTs. And they usually sell them in an auction period, so you want to buy something for $10 and someone outbids you and pays $25, you can only get it if you go higher than $25. That's why people are basically against these NFTs, but now there's another reason that's very interesting. BTS, have you heard of them? South Korean boy band. They're now selling these NFTs because they need these revenue streams. And BTS is among the music industry's most profitable artists, boosted by tens of millions of fans worldwide, who eagerly snap up band-branded face masks, figurines, and even McDonald's chicken McNuggets. They generate more than $200 million a year in merchandise and licensing sales. The 7-member South Korean group recently said it would take an extended break through March. Well, their fans are upset about that because their fans want to see them. BTS, by the way, is short for Bangtan Sonyeon, or Bulletproof Boy Scouts. Though for some English speakers, the group also goes by Beyond the Scene. Dumb it down for the dumb Americans. And here's the interesting part of this whole thing. The BTS fan base are upset with the band because of these NFTs. Hashtags opposing the move hit Twitter's top trending section last month, and the movement has continued since then. The bulk of criticism from the fans of BTS centers on the large energy consumption needed to create these NFTs via computer. NFTs rely on blockchain technology and are usually purchased with cryptocurrencies. So in the case of BTS, people aren't really stealing their image so much as they don't want to buy the image because BTS has been very strong about green energy. And their fans are saying, hey, wait a minute. This goes against everything you say that you stand for. And the band, trying to recoil from the criticism, has said, oh no, we have a whole new way of doing these NFTs. It's green energy. It's going to be almost like we're not using any electricity at all to generate these. So we'll see what happens. And as we know, it is the new year, right? We're coming up into the new year. And the new year is, I keep getting this wrong for some reason, the new year is 2022. I keep saying in my mind and to my friends and to my lovely, beautiful wife, Janna Marie, I can't wait for 2023 to get here. And they say, well, gosh, that's a long time to wait. And I said, what do you mean? It's one day. He said, no. You're living in 2021. 2022 isn't even here yet. Oh, no. I'm trying to skip forward. Must be some sort of need to leap over the Omicron variant. So I hope I get it right. Who knows? And we received this morning an interesting note from our management company. And we've lived here for quite a while, 4 or 5 years, and we've never received such an email. Starting off by saying, "Hello! Happy New Year! Oh, by the way." Basically, if you think you are going to be misbehaving this evening, they must have some kind of insider information to send this. If you think you're going to be misbehaving this evening, don't. Because we will have staff roaming the entire building. They will be in the stairwells. They will be in the parking garage. They will be in all the communal amenity areas. The Skylab Skyroof thing will be open until 1 a.m. But anyone in that room after 1 a.m. will be asked to leave. And then I say, forcefully, if necessary. So there must be something that they know, that something is out there and something is going to be happening that may be dangerous to the community. I don't know why they're forewarning us. But I guess I'm glad. Oh, and then the last paragraph said, "Oh, by the way," I'm paraphrasing, "if you see anybody misbehaving in the hallways or around you, call the front desk, rat them out, rat out your neighbors, and we'll go investigate immediately." People do that all day anyway, so I don't know why New Year's Eve is any different. And on that lovely note, we're taking our very first blood pressure break. I will see you momentarily. Hello and welcome back to Boles TV, BOLES.TV. I'm David Boles. Lovely to have you here with us on New Year's Eve as we are celebrating the leap into the new year, 2022. So what else is happening in the news? Well, I always love getting stuff from PR people, promotions people, because they always want you to cover their new ideas. And these are the top 10 things coming in the new year, 2022, when it comes to exercise and health components. And we'll look at these briefly together, just to see if there's anything new and anything interesting, or if this is just a year-by-year summary of everything we've already seen in our lives. Number 1 is going to be wearable technology. Here we go. Here we go. Oura Ring, Apple Watch, fitness trackers, smartwatches, heart rate monitors. Okay, that's been around for 5 years. 2, home exercise gyms. Okay, COVID, last couple of years, people created their own exercise gyms, as we have discussed many times here, that our living room is now our home gym. And we don't mention that to Jen Marie, because we get in big trouble. 3, outdoor activities. Small walks, group rides, organized hiking groups. Okay, I think we've been doing that since the beginning of time. Number 4, trend, strength training with free weights. Kettlebells, hello, barbells, dumbbells. That may be good. People tend to prefer aerobics over to using heavy weights, but if you really want to work out your heart and get your cardio up, you need to add weight to whatever you're doing. Now, just using weights alone doesn't really help your cardio a lot. You have to be lifting the weights while you're moving your body, or at least lift the weights over a long period of time of a minute or two to keep your heart pushed up and pumping. Exercising for weight loss. That's a historic given. Personal training. Okay, online, setting goals, working one-on-one. That's not new. High-intensity interval training. Now, I do like that they include both I's, because it's always been HIIT. And then in the last year or so, people started getting really lazy and just calling it HIIT, HIT. High-intensity training. Well, the interval part of high-intensity interval training is super important. Short bursts of activity followed by a short period of rest or recovery in a 30-minute session. I always liked HIIT training, and I heard that it wasn't really great for your heart because it doesn't sustain over a long period of time. It's the interval, the resting, that gives your heart a rest, and that's not what you want when you're trying to improve your cardio. You want to keep it going, within fairness and within limit. Online, live, and on-demand exercise classes. Okay, that's true for a couple of years. Health and wellness coaching. Integrates behavioral science into health promotion and lifestyle medicine programs. A one-on-one small group approach provides support, goal setting, and encouragement. Okay, so those are the new trends for 2022, which to me is the trends that we've had for the past 10 years. What else is happening? Preeclampsia. Interesting term. Has to do with birthing babies and mothers. And preeclampsia is when your blood pressure is too high for the mother and it is hurting the baby. And it can be very dangerous if it's not treated and handled. And some women with preeclampsia get put in the hospital and are restricted to bed because they don't want to hurt the baby before it's born. And once you have preeclampsia, as a friend of mine explained to me, that future births are also at risk. So it's something that the doctors and hospitals take very seriously. Well, there's this new study about high blood pressure and preeclampsia that has to do with immigrants and what they ate in their home country, and immigrants and what they eat when they become Americans. And that the American diet, the SAD diet, as it is known in the industry, the standard American diet, SAD, SAD, is once again proven to be a big problem. For black women, birth status outside the U.S. and shorter duration of residence, those who lived in America for fewer than 10 years, were associated with 26% lower odds of preeclampsia. Birthplace status and duration of U.S. residence was not significantly associated with the odds of preeclampsia among Hispanic and white mothers who were born outside of the United States. Overall, the researchers said findings suggest that place of birth or nativity related to disparities in preeclampsia among black women are not fully explained by nativity differences in socio-demographic or other cardiovascular disease factors. What does that mean? Well, it means immigrants come here to seek a better life, but what we are seeing is unhealthy acculturation and assimilation. And what does that mean? It means you come to America, you want to be part of the culture, you want to play along, you want to fit in, you don't want to be an outsider, you don't want to be the foreigner over there, so you fit in. You maybe eat more pizza, you eat fast food instead of cooking at home. Some women come here, the USA, healthier, and they get unhealthier over time, probably by adopting habits of the dominant culture that increases poor health outcomes. While we don't specifically look at the impact of structural racism on health in this study, it may also play a role. Black women who were born outside the U.S. but then immigrated to the country recently may be somewhat protected from the effects of discrimination because they tend to settle in immigrant-concentrated residential areas with increased social support systems. Now, what's interesting about this is foreign black women in this article come here, assimilate, be part of the culture, blood pressure goes up, incidences of preeclampsia and birth go up. But I wonder what would happen in the reverse. If black women in America went to the other country, lived there, assimilated their culture, ate healthier, ate better, I wonder if their incidences of preeclampsia during pregnancy would go down. You think it probably would. We talked about NFTs and stealing earlier and how you prevent it. And it always seems like the good people are trying to find ways to outwit the bad people, because bad people spend their whole day trying to figure out how to get something for nothing. And they generally don't care who they hurt or what it takes for them to get what they want when they want it as they need it. And that is without a doubt a sad thing. But what do you do if you're an oyster farmer? And you have these oysters that you put down there and you tend and you take care of every day. And in the middle of the night, pirates, thieves, come into your area and steal all of your hard work. They steal your oysters and resell them. How do you fight it? Do you stand there with a gun, watching everyone come in? Do you put up cameras? Well, here's what one oyster guy did, which is very, very genius. He took an empty oyster shell and inserted a tiny rolled-up note inside that shell. And then he glued the shell back together and put the oyster in the cage with the other oysters that he's farming. And his note says that when the person opens the shell, that they have won their own weight in oysters, and invites them to call his phone number and claim their prize. And this is where the trap comes in. Not from the people who find the note. They're playing along, unwittingly, in helping catch the criminals. And they're not guilty for buying oysters from the store. Anyone claiming their prize is then asked, "Where did you buy those oysters?" And if it was not from somewhere that this guy supplies with his own oysters, then he knows that his oysters were stolen. And he can call the police and put them on the trail of the thieves. So I sell to Market A, and they bought this oyster from Market B that I don't sell to. Well, I can go there and have the police go there and say, "Look, on this day at this time, this person found this note that I planted in my oysters." And by the association of time and tide, they are guilty. Few producers, oyster producers from the area, followed his example, and also fellow producers, also followed that example of hiding a note in the oysters. So far, no one has claimed the prize from this fellow, although some had claimed prizes from neighboring farms. At least in some cases, prize winners had been sold stolen oysters. Well, because this happened, and because the word went out, and these thieves really have no way of knowing out of 1,000 oysters which one has a note in it. Word spread in the oyster buying industry, and it created a deterrent effect. After 19 oyster thefts in the area in 2017, there were no oyster thefts in 2020, according to the French Interior Ministry. So finally, the good guys stand up and fight back, right? And the bad guys get what they deserve. And they deserve absolutely nothing. And they get nothing. Now, our final sort of news story of the day is one of sadness and despair. And a lot of people may not agree with my take on this, which is okay, because we can agree to disagree and still be friends. Have you heard about Eco? In Naples, Florida. He's a zoo tiger. A Malayan tiger. 8 years old. And he bit a man. A sheriff's deputy tried to get Eco to let go of the arm that he was biting. And Eco did not give up the arm, so the officer shot the tiger. The arm he was eating belonged to a cleaner, a zoo cleaner, who was in the unauthorized area. And it appears that he tried to pet or feed Eco, and that resulted in the death of the tiger and serious injuries to the cleaner, and was taken to the hospital. The man, the cleaner, in his 20s, entered the area near the tiger enclosure after the zoo had closed for the day. That cleaner, who was working for an outside company hired by the zoo, appeared to have put his arm through the enclosure's fencing. Trying to pet or feed the animal were both unauthorized and dangerous activities, the sheriff's office said. The zoo said third-party cleaning is allowed to clean toilets in the gift shop, but not the animal enclosures. And after the sheriff shot the animal, Eco retreated to the back of its pen, where it was then sedated and died. Now, I don't know how you feel about zoos. I'm not a big fan of zoos. And people who run zoos will say, oh, we're preserving, we're protecting. We're here for the animals. And the animals are not free. They're not in their natural habitat. They are not as they were born to be born free, as the song goes. And if the idea is to preserve the animals, they give birth, but the children of these zoo animals are not allowed to go out and roam in their natural habitat. They're either loaned or sold to other zoos, so they can also remain in captivity. And when a tiger acts like a tiger, someone sticks their arm in your pen, and you're either hungry or angry at them for whatever they're doing to you, and you bite them, it's not the person who loses their life, it's the tiger. And we've talked about Tiger King and all these people who go around trying to profit off of these wild, exotic animals. Well, the zoo industry does the same thing. Now, people like Carol Baskin, they try to have safe, protected areas to take care of these animals who have been abused by the system and give them a happier final life, because they can't go back into the wild because they're either blind or disabled or hurt in some other irreparable way. So this whole salesmanship that zoos are wonderful, great places is not true. And SeaWorld is a great example. That was a zoo where they held captive orca whales and forced them to perform. Forced elephants and tigers and lions to perform in circuses. And zoos are the same thing. You're paying to see an animal that you would not normally see. An animal that doesn't really want you to see them. And not really interested in saying hello to you either. But yet, oh no, it's a zoo. Oh, it's SeaWorld. Oh, it's a circus. For the kids. Anything for a kid's okay. And speaking of kids, there's another interesting article about these parents who are obsessed with Harry Potter and other fantasy fiction, and they've taken to naming their children after these fake people, which I've never really understood. Hermione Marshall, a British teenager who works in a flower shop, was named after the heroine of the Harry Potter books and films. A 6-year-old in Ohio shares his name with Ollivander, the magical wand maker from the Harry Potter series. Venerable wizard Albus Dumbledore has a namesake, a 2nd grader from Las Vegas, who loves a good outer space joke. Parents have long named their kids after favorite characters across pop culture. Game of Thrones fans called their girls Daenerys before the mother of dragons ruthlessly burned a city to the ground. Elsa became popular after Frozen came out. Now, as young readers who grew up with Harry Potter become parents themselves, they have given their children magical names straight out of a roll call at Hogwarts. And not all of these children are on board with their wacky names. Larissa Langslather named both her daughters after Potter characters. Her 14-year-old is named Hermione, and her 12-year-old is Ariana, for Dumbledore's sister. Ariana doesn't appear to be a superfan in the making. She isn't a big fan of the franchise, said Mrs. Langslather, 39 and resident of Almsville, Oregon. Recently, the tween decided that she no longer likes her name. I don't think it fits me, preferring to be called Arya. In the year 2000, U.S. birth certificates recorded the name Hermione. No U.S. birth certificates recorded the name Hermione. Last year, there were 91 new Hermiones in the world, according to the baby name site Nameberry, which culls data from the U.S. Social Security Administration. Only 144 Lunas were born in 2000, a name shared by the kind but weird Luna Lovegood of the series, compared with 7,700 Lunas born last year. Name your kids after a pop culture icon, see what happens. I guess we've had some Elvises, right? Even the villains in Harry Potter did well. No U.S. newborns in 2000 were named Bellatrix, a character who chases Harry Potter across several novels. But last year we had 21 new Bellatrixes born in the U.S. Also on the rise, kids named Draco, best known to fans as the name of Harry Hogwarts' nemesis Draco Malfoy, going from 15 children to 101 little Dracos last year. Harry is popular for many reasons. Last year, 340 babies were given that name. At the top of the baby naming market, 17,000 Olivias and 19,000 Liams, the most popular baby names of 2020, according to Nameberry. Now, there used to be a time when you just named your kids after other people in your family to honor them. There was a time when kids were getting crazy names like Moon Unit and Duty Zoopy. And the general thinking was, you give your children biblical names in America. We are a Christian nation, was the thinking. And who am I to talk? David. People of my generation, 50s, David, #1 name. I never liked the name. I always liked Keith. Probably for Keith Partridge. But as I understand it, when I was born, my father, a father that I do not know and have never really met, wanted to call me Rocky. Rocky Isherwood. Here with you on the live stream. But I also know there was a time in the 60s and 70s and the 80s, as was explained to me by a female black sociologist in the Midwest, that there were black mothers who would name their children African names to honor slavery or to honor the people who were put into slavery, and they would name them with titles of respect. They would name their kid King, or Baron, or Duke, so that white people would have to refer to their children as Duke and Sir. King, would you come over here, please? Titles of respect. Some would use non-royalty titles, King, Baron, Duke. They would use titles like Mr. for a first name, or Sir for a first name. And if you go back and you look at maybe some performers or athletes from the 70s and 80s, you're going to see some Misters and a few Sirs and some Dukes and some Kings and some Barons. And it's an interesting strategy to name your child something that inherently, if perhaps falsely or superficially, adds some kind of importance to their name, which I think makes a lot more sense in sociological naming than naming your kids after fantasy novel characters. But what do I know? I'm Rocky Isherwood, who then became this thing called David Boles, who is live here with you on Boles.tv, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And on that bit of ridiculousness, we're taking a blood pressure break. I will see you in a moment. Oh boy! Dora's here. Wishing us a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Dora. It's wonderful to have you with us as we get rid of this awful year of 2021 and we go into 2022. And I think it's so funny that the closed caption said I was taking a burger break. Not a blood pressure break, a burger break. I have to enunciate more clearly, obviously. Maybe if I spoke with an English accent, I'd be a little bit better. Well, January is coming up momentarily, and it's going to be a little wacky and fun. A wonderful lesson. If you're an advanced learner of ASL or you're just beginning and you just want to sit there and you want to watch some really interesting stuff go down in about 10 minutes. And we finally have sun. On the break, I was peering out the window like a cat and saying, oh my gosh, we have sun rays coming down. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful day, finally. But will it last? That I don't know. So before January gets here, we're just going to take a look at this one very interesting article about schools and testing, because schools open in New York City on Monday, and the mayor has said, no matter what happens, we're opening. We're going to double, triple test kids, and we're not closing schools, period. And the parents are kind of saying, yay. And in North Carolina, they did this very interesting thing called Test to Stay. And here's how it all came out. In the universally masked environment in schools, the use of the Test to Stay protocol did not result in increased transmission of SARS-CoV-2, which is very interesting news, following unmasked encounters within schools. Over the last 6 weeks, the study enrolled 367 participants from 5 North Carolina school districts and 1 charter school. 883 tests were performed. Monday down to 30. Oh, that's cold. Today and tomorrow close to 60. Oh, that's very tempting. That's very tempting. I love it. So in North Carolina, 883 tests were performed. 6 participants became positive after day 1. Leading to a within-school transmission rate of 1.7%. There were no cases of tertiary transmission, defined as transmission from a study participant to another student or staff member, were identified. Nearly all exposure encounters involved an unmasked index case, 92%, and an unmasked close contact, 92%. With most, 96%, occurring indoors. Most exposures occurred in the context of lunch. It's hard. You're in school, you're a kid, you gotta eat. You can't really eat through a mask. So you're inside, in a closed room, close to people, and you have to take off a mask to eat. While only 13% of exposures occurred during athletics, where you're close and you're breathing on each other. However, athletic exposures accounted for 50% of individuals with positive tests. Implementation of the Test to Stay protocol successfully and substantially reduced student absences from school after in-school exposure to COVID-19. 1,628 in-person school days were saved, with only 136 days of quarantine required compared to the expected number of 1,764 days. So it's a very interesting study. I'm going to share the URL to this study with you now, so we have it embedded in chat now and forever. And you can take a look at it. So it's not all necessarily doom and gloom. Word from South Africa is that Omicron is not terrible. Doesn't necessarily mean high institutional rates or hospitalizations are necessary. But the problem in America is the unvaccinated. As long as they stay unvaccinated, the rest of us are always going to be in danger. And now these unvaccinated people are saying, oh, isn't it funny that the only person who are getting sick are the vaccinated? Without realizing or admitting how odd it is that most of the people who are dying are the unvaccinated. Sure, the vaccinated get sick because people are carrying around this virus, vaccinated or not. So you're going to get it, if you're vaccinated or not. This is the Google hello for the impending new year. Isn't that lovely? So cute. Google they always do fun stuff on their page. And then you click on it and usually something happens. You can play a game or, oh, it doesn't. Oh, there you go. You get a little surprise. They always surprise you. So just open a general Google browser and and you're going to click on the Google logo. And they're going to give you a little game, a little story, a little animation. Something that pops in your eye. See, we got a little animation there, 2021. Now, I don't know why that's not saying 2022. Oh, I'm confused. I love the confetti. Well, it's getting to be that time again. The infamous and talented Janna Marie is here on site preparing for her Hardcore ASL lesson that she's going to share with you today. Gonna be a lot of fun. And tomorrow, New Year's Day, there is no rest for the wicked, and always work for the weary. And Janna Marie will be here with you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for some chat about disability and ASL and anything else you have on your mind. And she'll be doing that on Sunday as well at 11 a.m. right here for you on Boles.tv. If you have a question for Janna, you can email it to her. Her email address is janna@boles.tv. And with that, I'm going to put up the Janna message board, turn off the music, and let her come in here and get set up. It's going to be fun, and it's coming up next. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you when she's done. Oh boy. Now that was fun. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. And what you just saw was the Janna Marie having a lot of fun here with you today. And as she was leaving, she said there's paint all over your keyboard. And she's right, there's paint all over the keyboard. So forgive me as I just touch up things on my keyboard here a little bit. But that's what it's like. That's having ASL class with Janna Marie. In person, online, tutoring, private tutoring, in a big group. If you want more information, you can email her, janna@boles.tv. The mouse is also infected with paint. You can go to hardcoreasl.com, poke around, see what's going on out there. If you want some private tutoring. Well, it's been a wonderful, silly, fun show, which is what we strive to achieve every day here with you on Boles.tv. The sun has gone under a cloud, but we hope it's going to come out and be 60 degrees, just like Dora promised. So tomorrow it is Janna Marie, or the same, 11 a.m., Saturdays and Sundays. And Fridays are wacky with her, about 10:15. I will see you again in the new year. There's Dora. That was fun. Oh, compliments always go on the main screen. Yay for Janna. That was fun. Very visual. Made for streaming. Fun, serious, silly, all at the same time. Which is sort of how you would describe Janna Marie. We have a lot of paint going on. And I will be here with you again in the new year. Not 2023, as I talked about earlier in this stream, but rather 2022. I skipped over a whole year. I'll be back here on Monday, 9 a.m., as I am every weekday with you here on Boles.tv. And Janna tomorrow is going to talk about some interesting news items and some disability issues and some ASL. It's just a big clump of fun and learning. But it's been a wonderful stream. We talked about a lot of interesting, different, compelling things. And now, it's time for me to say I will see you again in the new year. See you next year, as we always used to say in elementary school. What do you mean next year? Where are you going for a year? Tomorrow's the new year. You can find me online on Twitter @DavidBoles. You can find me on Facebook, regular old BOLES. Instagram, Boles Books. Discord server, David Boles. And right here on Boles.tv, streaming every day of the week for you. And for now, be safe tonight. Have fun tonight. Live to see another day tomorrow. Thank you for being here. I'll see you again soon.